welcome to Mountain House Kitchen, and this is my kitchen in my house. We'll be cooking some Brazilian cuisine. I am a professional chef, but I don't want that to be something you guys, oh, she's a professional chef, she's gonna be judging, and everything she's gonna do is difficult, and it's not. I'm a very approachable chef, and I hope I can make all the recipes to be amazing and good for you and easy to produce at home and used to make at home. And I like kitchen tools. I don't do everything in the knife like many chefs do. I like to have some funny tools to use, and I hope we can get all that together and you guys get to taste the food. And I'm gonna have some people tasting here today, but you guys are welcome to join us anytime. If you have a great recipe that you want to share, you're welcome to my kitchen, and I will be your assistant that day. Sometimes people have amazing enchilada recipes or something from the family that they want to show. We can do that here. And everybody's welcome. Everybody from Mountain House is welcome. My kitchen is your kitchen. I think we need to start with some drinks. Would help me relax with all those cameras around, and will probably be a good start for you also. That way you guys can start sipping a little drinks before you start cooking. Go slow with the Brazilian drink that we're gonna be doing, which is caipirinha, because Brazilian rum is very strong, and before you notice, you are not cooking anymore, and it's gonna be a mess. Just make sure you just behave and pace yourself. This is a Brazilian caipirinha, and it's limes, sugar, cachaça, and this is one brand of cachaça I like. It's called Ipioca, but you guys can use any cachaça. I think Bevmo has 3 or 4 kinds, meaning you guys can choose which one you like. This one is aged and has a little different color than the other ones, but it's like rum. It's just the Brazilian version made with sugar cane. We need limes, and it's a very easy drink to prepare and delicious. You guys can use lemons. Actually, I don't like lemons very much. You guys can use limes and oranges. Normally, I like to choose something that the skin is a little thinner, because it works better when you're doing the breaking of the lime for the drink. Meaning, what I do is you add the limes here, and you just squeeze a little bit. Okay, I can squeeze that also in the glass. I didn't think about that. And you just pour and keep squeezing. If you have a big enough pesto paddle, you can use, or just do like I'm doing. I like to do, one by one and put a little love into it. But you guys do whatever you feel like doing. And you can do even squeeze in a cup if you prefer, because it would work also. Meaning you can do this. We're gonna add a little sugar. All those recipes are gonna be on the website, meaning don't worry about amounts right now, and you guys can check the recipe later and make sure you have the, chefs don't measure anything, just keep that in mind. I probably put more than I should, and you just mix. If you want to prepare a simple syrup, you're welcome to. Would go really well. I don't mind a little sugary thing, but if you guys want more smooth drinking, you just get and do a simple syrup, which we're gonna do that later for a dessert today, and you guys can learn how to do a simple syrup and have in your bar, because that stuff never goes bad. It's a lot of sugar. And this is the Brazilian drink, and you guys are welcome to try, and it's very delicious. And we go from there. Now that we have our little drink done, we're gonna go for the typical feijoada, which is our Brazilian stew that we do in Brazil. It is so common out there that every Wednesday in Brazil is feijoada day. All restaurants have feijoada, meaning it is a national treasure. And it is just a black bean stew made with pork, meats, and bacon. I'm gonna do a very light version. The one that you guys are gonna have online has everything the way they do in Brazil. They have the pork ears and the tail and everything else. I do a more lighter version for healthy, and I think it's delicious and works for me, but you do whatever you want. Actually, mine is a vegetarian version, but this one, I think my friends here and my husband would love that for sure. Meaning we're gonna go for that. Pork loin, make sure you remove really well the silver skin from it, because you don't want that stuff to be holding your piece meat together. Silver skin does not dissolve when you cook, meaning you make sure you remove all. Bacon, and we have linguiça, which, fun enough, we are lucky to have linguiça here in that part of California. It's not a everyday item that you find everywhere. We have the factory here, and they are producing great linguiça, which is the same linguiça we use in Brazil, pretty much the same spices, and it's pretty delicious. Soak the black beans overnight and discard the water. Make sure you discard the water, because that's a little trick that you do for to get, people are uncomfortable with beans because they have a tendency to be a little gassy. I know I hate to say that, but that happens. Meaning, if you want to soak the beans and throw away the water, you remove that thing from your beans, and they're easy to digest and everything. If you want to learn more about it, just Google and find out yourself. But make sure you drain, and you guys can see the water gets really dark, almost like dark blue. Beans. Okay, ready. Today we're gonna be cooking on pressure cookers, and I want to talk to you guys about pressure cookers. Pressure cookers today, they are not your grandma's best, pressure cookers. They are made to last. They have a lot of safety features. My grandma had the first, I would say, pressure cookers, and they had one way to release pressure, and if that get with any piece of something stuck there, you would have an explosion. And it happened a lot, and people get traumatized about pressure cookers. They keep carrying that stories around. But today, the pressure cookers have a lot of features, meaning they release the pressure faster and efficiently before the explosion happens. Meaning, if the 7 ones fail, you're probably the unluckiest person on the planet Earth, meaning you have 7 ways to do that, 7 ways to the pressure to escape before it goes boom. There's a lot of prices out there. There's pressure cookers, they go from $20 to $100. It's really up to your budget, how much you want to spend. There is Fagor, which is a Spanish, from Spain. They're really good. This one is from Switzerland, and it's also amazing. It's a good pressure cooker, works really well. When you soak overnight the beans, they're gonna cook really fast. Just keep that in mind. It's less time cooking. Pressure cookers are better and healthier for you, because you preserve more of the vitamins without losing too much time cooking. If you do that with black beans, normally it would take like 3 or 4 hours to cook beans and water, in a pot of water. You need to make sure there's enough water there, it's not gonna burn. And a pressure cooker is 20 minutes, half an hour, and the beans are ready and ready to serve. Okay, now we're gonna go to the stove, and we're gonna start browning the meats. And we add the beans and the spices. We're gonna close the pressure, and from there we are gonna cook the other ingredients that goes together with feijoada. Okay, we're gonna heat up the oil. It's olive oil. Make sure it is hot. I have already the onions and garlic chopped here. I'm gonna add some onions. That's the noise we're looking for, the sizzling. Saute the onions for a few minutes. I am a big garlic lover, meaning go for garlic is always good. And you give them a little color before you add the other ingredients. Getting there. And you can keep your fire high because you want to give some color to the meats and make sure they're ready and done before you add the beans. And we close the pan. Okay. We can add the pork. I'm using pork loin. I like to add the pork here in this stage of the dish because it's gonna cook and it's gonna kind of disintegrate it in the beans, meaning when you guys eat the beans, you're gonna have pieces of that meat just coming apart in your dish. Just let it cook for a few minutes. Because everything is gonna cook together under pressure, the bacon pretty much melts away in the pressure cooker, which is good. And we're gonna add the linguiça. I think I'm gonna move to the higher, more stronger source of heat here, because I need the color that's not showing yet. Smells great. I wish you guys were here. Maybe we would have some guests in the future. You can be the lucky one. Brazilian history. We were colonized by Portuguese and Spanish. Mostly by Portuguese. When they discovered South America, they divided South America in two places. One is would be the Spanish speaker countries, and Brazil was pretty much Portuguese. Sadly, and we have that in our history to carry around, we had slaves. And the history behind the feijoada is the slaves didn't have too much to eat. They would have to mix whatever pieces of meat they get with beans, and they would cook. And later on, the smell of that was so amazing that the Europeans were trying to figure out a way to make them prepare the same dish at home because it was really delicious. And that's why in Brazil they have so many different kinds of meats. They use everything from the pig because since you kill the animal, you better use everything. And I know the story is a little sad, but amazing at the same time, you know, carries a lot of tradition and history. We add the bacon. You see that now we are getting some color in the side of the pan, and that's just fine. The bacon is going to really disappear. We add linguiças. And I'm going to get bay leaves, which is really part of European cooking. We add bay leaves to pretty much to everything. We add the beans. And you guys can see the pan gets really like painted by the color of the beans. They really have amazing color. And now we're gonna add some water. Linguiça, in case you guys don't know, is a sausage. You guys can use any kind of sausage. I like linguiça because it is Brazilian and that's a Brazilian dish, but you guys can use any kind of sausage you guys like. That's it. And we have everything here. And when we open that pan, that color is going to be completely different. because the beans would release and do their magic. I'm gonna add some salt. In Brazil, if you're using salt meats, which normally sometimes they are, they don't add any salt. You guys can add some salt now and fix later and see if you guys need more. I really hate to over salt food, meaning if you guys can adjust that later, for sure you can do it. Now, pressure cooker. What I need to do is just line up those two triangles here to close the pan, and that's it. Now we let that start, you're gonna hear a little noise, a little pressure noise, and you can slow the fire down and let it simmer for 20 minutes, and we will have feijoada. About rice. When you guys go to the grocery store today, you have like 300 different rices you can choose from. It's all about your family and the taste and how they like the rice. I like long grain rices, meaning I have a tendency to end up in a jasmine rice or maybe the basmati. Basmati is my favorite and I use a lot in all the cooking. Today we're gonna do rice, which is a pathetic, easy thing. You guys can use a rice cooker if you want to. Rice cooker is a no mistake rice, always comes out 100%. There's no going wrong. But I'm gonna teach you today how to do rice from scratch in a little pan that everybody has at home. You don't need to run and buy a rice cooker. You can try on the rice, do the rice in the pan normally, and if it works for you and you like the results, good. If you don't, you buy a rice cooker, and that's the way it is. Okay, we're ready here. I'm gonna heat up a little bit of olive oil. I like my food with flavor. That's why I add onions. Some people just cook the rice with water. They don't even add salt. I just don't get that, but I like flavors in food. Meaning we're gonna do a little browning of the onions and garlic. In Brazil, it is a staple. We always have beans and rice for every single meal, but it's really, you know, in Asian cultures, they have rices and different versions, and the Chinese has the rice, and the Japanese has their rice cakes, and so much other different things they do with rice. Rice flour, there is so much. Rice is a staple, and you just give a little color to the onions. And what I want to do and accomplish here is, because I want the rice to be, the grains to be very separated from each other, I don't want a sticky rice. That's why I wash the rice to release a little bit of the starch before you start cooking. And I'm gonna kind of saute the rice raw here, just for a few minutes, until it becomes transparent. And that's what I'm looking for. Is a transparent grain of rice, and then you add the water and the salt and you cook. For every cup of rice, 1.5 cups of water. You can do 2 cups of water also, that would work, but I like my rice to have a little bite, meaning I go for 1.5, but it's really up to your personal taste. Salt. Where is my salt? Yeah. Here. And you see the little thing is coming up because there is a lot of some pressure building up inside, and no reason to be afraid. Yeah, my grandma had horror stories to say about pressure cookers, and I remember in Brazil for a while we had like a little spot in the ceiling because the pressure cooker exploded and the beans got out there. My grandma could never scrub that enough to get rid of that. I remind her how dangerous the pressure cookers were, but not anymore. You add the rice, the water, well. And there's no reasons for you to touch the pan anymore. Just now we're gonna cover and let it cook for maybe 20 minutes or so, and we go from there. Collard greens. Every different culture also prepare collard greens in different ways. You can add, oh, look at that pressure. Now we slow down. You see? Woohoo! Every single different culture has a different way to prepare kale. Kale is a hot amenity right now. Everybody wants to eat kale because it's full of iron and vitamins, and it's just a beauty. Some people remove that part from inside. I really don't, because I like kale and I like that little crunchy that little steam provides, meaning I keep it. And you just wash really well, and you just file them like I did here. And you roll like this, and you can cut thinner or whatever you want. In Brazil, they made a little joke that a woman cannot get married until she knows how to cut collard greens, which is such a chauvinist thing to say, but it's really up to you how thin or thick you want. And by the magic provided by TV, I have already here some chopped. And needs to be thin. In Brazil, they cut thin as hair, you know. I got married not knowing how to chop that. Means you don't need to believe that. And the name of that cut, as many chefs know, is chiffonade. You do that with basil leaves when you want to that chopping, you know, if you're doing like a mozzarella tomato salad, you want the basil to be, you know, thin a little like that, you just do the chiffonade cut, and that's what it is, okay? Now, the Brazilian version of collard greens is different from the South. In the South, they cook for a long time, the collard greens kind of melt in your mouth. In Brazil, they get to be just sauté for a few minutes, and you have the little crunch and that little biteness and earthness that the collard greens have. We like that. It is a great combination with feijoada. Okay? And I'm sorry about the noise. I have my bird singing in the back, and I have the pressure cooker going, meaning bear with me. Okay. Now, pan is heating. We have the olive oil. Garlic again. As you guys know, I don't like garlic. Oh, it smells amazing. What's going to happen is we're going to add the collard greens, and it's going to take a while for the collard greens to just reduce, you know, their volume. Just keep that in mind. And you guys can move a little bit around, that way the garlic gets introduced to the veggie. You see it's a lot, but ends up to be like half of that in the end, because we do some water like big time. Some salt on top that helps reduce. And let it cook. And you guys are going to see that it's going to reduce a lot. You're going to have like half of that after the time, by the time that it's ready. Feijoada smells great. The rice is going. It's not bubbling yet, but it's getting there. And that dish, when you put all together in a plate, it's going to be very colorful. It's a very colorful, beautiful dish. And we garnish with some orange. Orange go really well with the feijoada. That's it for collard greens. Then we come back, we do some cassava. Welcome to Feijoada edition. We're gonna talk a little bit about yuca or cassava root. You guys find that in the grocery store and you stare on something like that, you think, what is that? You know, I don't know how to prepare. Is that a potato? Is that what it is? It is kind of a potato. You know, it's a root vegetable, has a lot of starch. Of course, they add some waxing outside, which is not part of the vegetable. It is, if you guys go online and you Google cassava or yuca and you see how they remove from the dirt, because it is like a little tree and you just take that thing and you pull and has that amazing root system, and that it is what comes from the root system. It's just a magical thing. And it is a potato, meaning it has a tendency to get darker as soon as you cut it, oxidation that happens. What I'm going to show you is a way you guys to peel that, because people have no idea what you do here. Meaning, you take a little bit here, and you're going to see there is a little kind of a skin outside. Meaning, you want to remove that, and that's how I do it. You can use a potato peeler. Just make sure you remove everything. You know, that pink thing here needs to be gone. That stuff does not cook, and it's going to be hard, and it's not going to work for you. Okay, I'm going to do one more just to show you. You guys prepare. The pressure cooker kind of got a little quiet right now because I reduced the heat, meaning they still have pressure and everything inside. It's just not so noisy, but it's coming back. Don't worry. Don't worry if you worry about the noise anyway. It's coming back to annoy us. Plus my birds in the back, meaning. And you just peel. See how easy it is? And it's very beautiful and white. It looks like coconut. It's just a beauty. And you soak to avoid to get dark. And that is ready to cook. I just cooked this once today. And it was like 20 minutes in the water and a little salt. And that's what we get. When the yuca cooks, that's the product you get. There is a little fiber here in the middle, which you should remove because it's not edible. It's really tough and hard to eat. What you want to do is you want to break a little bit apart like this, and you're gonna fry them. They're gonna have different sizes and everything, but the thing is, and you guys are gonna see how magical that is, when you're frying this, gets that crunchy outside like a French fry and gets that creaminess from the yuca inside, and it's just perfect food for beer and your caipirinha that we prepared earlier. And we're gonna be frying this in 2 minutes, and let me clean that up and do the magical TV thing, and I'll be back. black beans on the bottom with all the meats you guys we cook together, rice, collard greens. This is a little corn flour that we buy in the Brazilian store in San Jose. Normally is where I find. Is already done and ready to go. Brazilians love that on top of their beans. The yuca root that we fried, and I like to serve with some orange, just for color and beauty. And bon appetit.